Welcome, students. Today we will do the chapter number 5 of History, the Age of Industrialization. In the very first picture of this chapter, we will do the introduction of the chapter. As written on the top, dawn of the century, this picture shows the progress of time and the development of different objects. So we can see in the picture, in the center of this picture, there is a goddess-like figure who is standing on a wheel, which also represent the progress of time, and floating about behind her there are other objects also which shows the sign of progress, like railways. We can see here camera, machines, printing press and factories. And in the second picture we are having two magicians. The one at the top is Aladdin from the Orient, and who built a beautiful palace with his magical lamp. And the one at the bottom is the modern mechanic, who with his modern tool weaves a new magic. Like he builds bridges, ships, towers and high-rise buildings. Aladdin is shown as a representing the East and the past here, and the mechanic stands for the West and modernity. And these images offer us a triumphant account of the modern world. Within the account of the modern world is associated with rapid technological change and innovations, machines and factories, railways and steamships. So these images and associations have now become part of a popular imagination. So students, how have these images developed and how do we relate to these ideas? So is industrialization always based on rapid technological development? What has industrialization meant to people's lives? To answer all these questions, we need to turn to the history of industrialization. So in this chapter, we will look at the history by focusing first on Britain, the first industrial nation, and then we will talk about India, where the pattern of industrial change was conditional and by colonial rule. All too often, we associate industrialization with the growth of factory industry. And when we talk about industrial production, we refer to a factory production. And when we talk industrial worker, we mean factory workers. Histories of industrialization very often begin with the setting up of the factories. And there is a problem with such ideas. Even before factories began to dot the landscape in England and Europe, there was a large-scale industrial production for an international market too. This was not based on factories. Many historians now refer to this phase of industrialization as a proto-industrialization. So firstly, I will tell you what is the meaning of proto. Proto, like indicating the first or early form of something. And if we talk about proto-industrialization, it means earlier form of factories. Students, here I will tell you, in the 17th and 18th century, merchants from the towns in Europe began moving to the countryside, supplying money to the peasants and artisans, persuading them to produce for an international market. And with the expansion of world trade and the acquisition of colonies in different parts of the world, the demand for the goods began growing. But merchants could not expand production within the towns. And what was the reason? Because here urban crafts and trade guilds were very powerful, and these were associations of producers that trained craft people, maintained control over production, regulated competitions and prices, and restricted the entry of new people into the trade. So who have given them lots of powers? So these were the rulers. They granted different guilds the monopoly right to produce and trade in specific products. It was therefore because new merchants to set up business in towns, so they turned to the countrysides. And poor peasants and artisans began working for merchants, as you have seen. This was a time when open fields were disappearing and commons were being enclosed. So cottagers and poor peasants who had earlier depended on common lands for their survival, gathering their firewoods, berries, vegetables, and hay and straw, and had to now look for alternative sources of income. So many had tiny plots also, and they could not provide work for all the members of the household. So when the merchant came around them, they offered advances to the produced goods for them. Peasants, households eagerly agreed. By working for the merchants, they could remain in the countrysides and continue to cultivate their small plots, and their income was also multiplied. Within this system, a close relationship developed between the towns and the countryside. Students, merchants were based in towns, but the work was done mostly in the countryside. A merchant clothier in England purchased wool from a wool stapler and carried it to the spinners. And the yarn that was spun was taken in subsequent stages of production to the weavers, fullers, and then to the dyers. The finishing was done in London before the export merchant sold the cloth in the international market, and the London in fact came to be known as a finishing center. Here we are having a new words like a stapler. So stapler, like a person who staples or sorts wool according to its fiber. Next we are having fuller, a person who fulls, that is gathers cloth by plaiting. And the third, carding, the process in which fiber such as cotton or wool are prepared prior to spinning.